Here we go again. New year, new projects. So, as the title of the video indicates, we bought a laser engraver. Why? I don't know. Just kidding. There's quite a few projects that I wanted to do just from a creative standpoint that I figured would benefit greatly from having a laser engraver and, being able to etch, engrave, and do some minor cutting, especially personalizing some things that I like 3D printing, etc., etc. You guys get the drift. Let's bring this guy in a little bit. All right, we're just gonna do a quick unboxing, and when I snap my fingers, this will be assembled. Instruction manual. This is build plate, by the way. Instructions on how to assemble. Pair of cheap glasses. Got our rails. We got the S20 Pro, which comes with a small air pump. This will help keep debris off of the etchings and engravings and also keep things from getting a little too hot. You got a USB cable, a couple of wrenches, zip ties, different mounting hardware, HDMI cable for the screen, USB cable for hooking it up to your computer. Here's basically the module with the wireless built in, emergency stop, power, USB power button, memory card slot, reset. So here's a few reasons why I actually purchased the Atomstack S20. It comes with a 20 watt laser module, although it advertises 130 watts. That's actually machine power. So you need to be very careful, especially when you're looking at the more prosumer level engravers, because they could be a little bit misleading with the way that they advertise the power output. The way that it achieves this 20 watts is by combining 4 lasers. Each one, I believe, is about 6 watts, but as you combine them and stack them, you lose a little bit of the power, which is fine, because once they're stacked in the configuration they're in, you still get a pretty powerful laser for smaller, less, less commercial engraving and etching projects, which is perfectly fine. A couple of the other features that it includes is a mobile app and offline engraving. Since this device has its own wireless module built in, it basically can create its own SSID, which you can connect to with your laptop and drop G-code straight onto the memory card. The mobile app also allows you some limited function and capability. It allows you to take an image or something you have on your phone and convert it rather quickly. However, the Atomstack engraver also allows you to use it with Lightburn, or should I say Lightburn allows you to use the Atomstack laser with its software, which is a little bit more of an industry standard, whether you have a small device or a larger machine. So this is kind of our starting point. And as we progress and learn this machine, we will eventually, especially once we move into the new place, get a larger device that's capable of a little bit more. Although this device will surprise you with a lot of its capabilities. A lot of the prosumer devices nowadays, they're growing, exponentially year over year. I think now you have 30 watt lasers, and they're even talking about 40 and 50. Once you get into the 50 watt territory, you can start doing some pretty impressive projects. However, with it being a diode laser, you do have some limitations. One of the big ones is because the laser is blue. If you're trying to do blue acrylic, you won't be able to. You have challenges with some other acrylics as well, just depending on how you prep them. But that'll be a story for another time. Right now, we're going to go back to focusing on what we can do with this guy. motor and the drive. More legs. And now you guys see why we're just gonna skip to it being completed. There's quite a few pieces here as you guys get the drift. I'm not gonna do a time-lapse assembly as I've done in the past. Just there's a lot of parts, and if you want to see that, there's other channels with it. We're kind of past that at this point. We want to get straight to the creative side. So it's actually been a little bit longer than a few minutes. It's been a few weeks, but I got a little carried away, as you can see with the setup. We've added some improvements, slapped in an old laptop. I actually got the rotary set up to do jars, a little quick ventilation tent, just because of the setup we have here in the garage with the smoke and everything. Eventually, I want to take this butcher block I got on sale from Lowe's and make a proper workbench out of it. But for now, you can kind of see the flow here. I actually made some nice improvements, as you can see with the 3D printer. These legs were 3D printed. I actually designed these feet for my bed that I'm using, and instead of going with the honeycomb bed, I actually selected the F3 matrix bed that Atomstack has. I actually 3D printed a basically little extension clip right here that can allow the laser to go a little higher. It's a little model project I'm working on, an F14 Tomcat. What else did I do? Oh yeah, I threw in the famous Wise V3 camera. And I'm gonna actually do a couple more 3D improvements here. I'm gonna actually print a nice little adapter I saw for this hose so that it's not laying all over the place. It'll allow it to articulate and move with the bed, so that'll be nice. And there's a couple other creature comforts I'm doing here and there. So actually, the main reason I got the laser engraver was because my wife had a couple of small craft ideas that she was kind of sort of doing by hand that I figured we could automate by actually having a laser engraver. And here's actually the template I use to create the popsicle sticks that she uses in her date night jars. Basically a little jig that the popsicle sticks goes into. And then here's the actual date night jar. We actually engraved the top and the front of it just to give it a little bit more of a professional and bespoke look. Here's actually a noodle board or stove cover, whatever you guys call them, that I actually created. My wife just been having this idea for some time, and I was like, hey, I can knock that out with the laser engraver and the router. And just put a little royal blue finish on it, royal blue stain. Came out pretty good. And here's a little project I worked on for my daughter. She's actually working on multiplication tables now. So basically, it's just kind of like a multiplication bingo. Here's a pedal I actually did for one of my close friends. He's probably one of the best at boiling seafood, man, by far. So I just had to do a little something special for his birthday. And then, of course, I had to do something for me. As a kid, one of my favorite jets was always the F-14 Tomcat. So when I found this design online, of course, I just had to knock it out. So that's going to be sitting on my desk in the background, probably in a future video after I assemble it. And then there's quite a few items I found online, including these neat little ring boxes. Doing one for me and the wife, and we'll probably actually sell these on her store as well. Wedding and engagement gifts are kind of a big thing. Quick way to make some cash, so we're actually looking at doing some of those too. So check out the site if you guys have a minute. All right, everybody, so that's gonna do it for this video on the Atomstack X20, A20, S20 Pro, whatever you're gonna call it, whichever color you have. In fact, that's the only variation between the three. I'm excited to add this to the arsenal. We're gonna do some cool stuff with it, some stuff combining the 3D printer and the etcher here and there, and it's gonna add another revenue stream for some other things I've been wanting to do for quite some time. So look for that in future videos, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.